This man does not mess around. He goes straight into the meat of the story. He says Chiefs scored within the first 20 minutes through the Nigerian international Tony Ilodikwe. He says Pirates equalized through Benedict Vilagazi a few minutes later. Now, this made those in the long queues outside grow uncontrollably excited, resulting in the pushing that unfortunately turned into the horrible stampede. Inside the bowl, when I first saw the people being carried onto the field, I ran to the northeastern corner of the stadium, only to find the bodies of dead men, women, and young boys. That is how this man, Putco Mafani, begins the journey in this story, the much anticipated book, which has been described by the Supremo himself, Kaizer Chiefs. He says this book will make people discover greatness in themselves. Not in Putco, but in themselves, through this man. He says in this gripping memoir, this is General Bantu Holomisa, Putco maintains a good balance between the humorous and the serious. Oh, we're going to chew into this book later on, because Putco is here in studio to tell us all about the journey as far as this book titled The Price and Prize of Greatness. They're messing around with us here. My wonderful prize on a Monday is to welcome you, but also my price that I have to pay is being with this man that speaks his mind, and we love it on the show. Junior Khanye, good to see you.
Yeah, Rutmani, good meaning biza Kane. Thanks for your opportunity to think for it.
Sikbiza kanjani kusekhaya?
Yeah, Kane ngithi mawuvuka ekseni ubonga amala ngiphila. That's why I thanks God and my ancestors, and now definitely we only good has been given a platform ivar.
Umfanele Kevin Hunt wam congratulate.
Yeah, ingwenya I'm happy for yona. But
ngicela uphendule umbuzo. Umfanele wam congratulate?
No, angamfoneli.
Yini inamba ayikho?
Inamba ikhona Rutmani. Kevin, but mina ngithi uyazinya ofrempa ngaliya we yellow.
Yeah, but what point iwe
ke but yeah, iqinisa ukuthi I'm happy for ngwenya.
But uzomkhayikhola.
Rutmani no, uyayizwa namanje ngwenya njoba sengikhuluma kanje compliment to him.
Yeah.
I think iyahlala uyayizwa ngwenya. But calling him izoba nzimanyana manje obviously I send a message compliment to him. Yeah.
Yini kuzoba nzima ukumfonela wena personal ngoba mayifika personal kuyena, then at least uzokwazi ukuthi even if ubungamfuni ukuthi abe coach Chiefs, but we understand manje ukuthi uKaizer Chiefs uthe neqembu lakhe bayamfuna.
Yeah, Rutmani njoba ngishilo, I've got nothing against Ingwenya.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ingwenya has done well for himself. Yeah, very knowledgeable in terms of profile ikutshela yonke into.
Sure.
Yeah, bengabheka ukuthi bazobiza yena, but definitely sure sebambizile. Yeah, njoba ngisho ngithi compliment to him, but calling him izoba nzimanyana ngoba mina vele
yini airtime yini inkinga, airtime ayikho senze crowdfunding esikwazi.
No, ne message uyayizwa manje njoba sikhuluma compliment mar mina bengabhekanga yena.
Wasingaxhumi iWi-Fi nje once umfonela.
Rutmani ngisasho namanje ukumfonela kusenkinga ngithi mina Ingwenya I'm happy for him, but mina ngishilo I disagree ukuthi izibe lamara.
Okay, do you disagree or agree with this next appointment eyenziwe namhlanje? Bayenze futhi announcement just before 6. Ba announce ukuthi Dylan Shepherd assistant. Ba announce ukuthi Athazwane assistant to Kevin.
I love Dylan Shepherd mina man in terms of development structure. Unama player pitch best intwana ezincane abantu abazi very knowledgeable. Obviously Dylan ibola bekalidlala, technical was powerful. Iskela ska 30 metro na solid. He was a school of excellence Transnet. I watch Dylan mina at young age benginokuya nyombukela ngidlalile against even uma junior ranks. Knowledgeable ngole futhi, so it appear nangendlela coach angayene ufundile okuningi uDylan mangamcheka kubothead. Na ngicheck abafana bevest mabadlala very knowledgeable ukuthi in terms of kunabafana bano Ashley. They were doing very well. Yeah, development efforts being in indlela bangakutshela abantu abaningi ukuthi kusho in terms of technique passing game. Being afana sina side yabo there was a different.
Right.
Yeah, because philosophy bekune philosophy bothile nabo Ashley. And then mayifika le kube iJav. That's why uthola ukuthi lentwana besingakhona ukuthi eziningi zinga survive la. Yeah. Okay.
So Dylan umnandi ngaye uAthazwane yena?
Njoba ngisho nginenkinga enkulu ngo-Arthur yabona, definitely is a legend of Kaizer Chiefs. I played with him so nilika 2C2 and ngimthole la I legend une knowledge ngikhuluma ngeclub, but coaching wise engwenya kusamele improve ngoba ngishilo last time masikhuluma mina nawo ngishilo ukuthi makusuka uKhan njoba Arthur I took over kanye before kungena uArthur ke abana bo doctor we understand about ace, but Arthur took over I think it's about 6 years now. and then angabona umfana ofitha like iglove la engisafungimele lento like I'm waiting
sponsor kasipushayo we MDC awusiboni kahle wena ukuthi sinjani mawubheka bongcobo enye igenge futhi iqhamukile ezandleni zakhe uyibona kanjani
yeah lentwana lenqobo ngiyamnika lapha but number ngifuna more remember the iminyaka ehleli meli appear you cannot bring unqobo nga success alone no yintwana ene promising career ngibonile lapha ngikhuluma in terms of ayisabanga lentwana it's a better ukuthi icoach umuntu ongabeliveli kule ngendlela edlala ngayo so ada yiko ngithi mina nyamcela bebamenze scout abantu bekumele babayenze scout lapha in terms of ngitshelile Grootman lapha akumelanga senze favor kufuneka umuntu
mamela ke kleinman mamela kleinman mamela if for growth ye Chiefs angithi ukhuluma nge scouting angithi ukhuluma nge future ye Kaizer Chiefs angithi ukhuluma ngabo Ted Dumitru angithi ukhuluma uyasazi nawo lesi sithombe senu lanimile with the late shoes mshwewu lanime khona nawo Atazwane bekhona nabo Patrick Mabedi yonke nje leyo gang abo Thabo Moki no Collins Besuma access isikhathi manje ukuthi aqale bemsondeze kumuntu one track record yokuwina njengo Gavin Hunt ukuthi funda ke ubungakakutholi wena njengoba du lapha ku MDC
Grootman I'm happy ukuthi ubringele Grootman qala lengiyibona
uPutco
lengwenya le Grootman lebesenza sibelieve eqala
sure
mangibona la bekuyi memory enzima kakhulu lengwenya lebekenza ukuthi ubelieve young star whether you are young or big bekwazi ukufilisa bekuyi 1-0 kusho ukuthi abantu basihlala nabo they 1 goal down besleader 1-0 because bekwazi ukusitshela listen kusho ukuthi player amadlala beyazi ukuthi iphethe crew enjani ngoba there was individual brilliant kule team mawusihlulile eze team bene philosophy la team there was a culture qala winning mentality kuwo wonke umuntu ongenayo i-contract bekwazi ukuthi kumele wenzeni bakutshela ngejezi number qala mabakunika
right
ukuthi number this is what is expected you are given 11 teenage bekayigqoka or 15 udoctor you understand and then uGrootman befika i-ede ispark ukuthi bafana bakithi please you understand abantu endlala that's why bekayibekele statement mangihlangana naye ngale before masifika athi ethanele injuna nina benuni game ngoba besikwazi ukuzitshela lento ukuthi playing for Chiefs thina ndlalela ukuzodlala nathi la and I'm so unfortunate bafana bakithi namhlanje thole hiding so uGrootman bekwazi ukwenza i-crowd besikudla nge-crowd thina bokwazi ukushaya OG on goal wena okanye wenza ifoul engamelanga uyangana so mele abanye abantu ne vibe into so Grootman angazi benga uBrake respect epic respect no Brake ukubringa ama Grootman njengalawo ukubringa i-vibe qala leya club ibuyele kudrama sikhuluma ngeculture ngitshelile Grootman yiko ngithi kumnandi kubugrand ukuthi udliwe udlala kahle ikunika appearance there's reference uyazi ukuthi okay sharp mele ngilungisela lapha nalapha mara mawuzoyina ugly akuna direction whoever's going to take over ngenze example asita wenze well uyoshiya Mincemeat manje
okay yazi ukuthi usuthe ukulamba sokhuluma ngama Mincemeat asiyeke iMincemeat manje asihlafune lapha kuYorlando Pirates nabo ke namhlanje ba announcele signings abantu abawu2 at least esingakhuluma ngabo Tyson uhlatshwayo Dion Hoto babadonsela ngithi from Bidvest ongitsheleke
yeah mina Grootman ngizoba nenkinga eqala ngizoba straightforward I would love Pirates to be signing obuhle but definitely I'm happy for uTyson
sure
in terms of discipline ingwenye discipline dedicated ngibonile is got a pick up but in terms of talent ngiyaquestion kakhulu ngizoba ne straight uTyson uPirates iqala ibhola at the back you need comfortable play especially with sensitive balls Pirates balqala abalishayi Tyson going for up he can win any balls but qala phansi Pirates mele uqala ibhola at the back I would love you ngithi ngidisagree bekumele game I'm very happy for guy but bengifuna ubuhle lapha kimi umkhwenazi I know umkhwenazi emakadlala ku Ellis Tawana ungishintshile makafika kuvethi it goes nange style of coaching but ubuhle if they got him ngikhuluma Grootman lapha serious uzoliqala ibhola at the back and one on one mela kwazi ukudila ngayo ingwenya ngiquestionana lokho so in terms of ukuthi ingwenya organize a leadership good
right
you understand I mean bengisha ngabe basayine enodo I'm very happy ngale ngwenye in terms of technical babunidi umuntu odlala as a left footed ngoba banokudlalisa ama player cutting from in ngodlala ngo right footed players uthola ukuthi sometimes ibhola lifuna ukufaka first time abanye badlala ngenyawo lo1 with the right foot mela cuthe in qala ene makalifaka thola ukuthi sometimes siba off okanye sebaphekile imini so you needed a left footed player so le ngwenye ngibonile I technique very powerful but the question ngibuza ngengwenya Pirates sometimes they don't play with wingers they allow abamayela bahambe nabo Mochane so you need players that will come bake bangene phakathi badlale ne team nabo qona nabo Makaring play not as a wing banokuyithita futhi bangadlali ngama-winger njengoba ngisho badlali i-4-2-3-1
kodwa bese kunaboxola abo-Vincent Pule sekunaye uTyson bajwayelena ngithi labo bantu
yeah,
so ngeke uthole ukuthi kuzoba lula for yena uku-adjusta ke maybe mhlawumbe bayishintshe ne-system phela ucoach angithi wafika naye ingakaqali siqalile isizini in fact yeah so already i-pre-season ubengenayo soku-check ischeme sokuthi unobani ama-strengths abadlala kuphi
so kunento engiyibonile ngale ngwenya le-Pirates i-Pirates nayo Grootman mina kunenye question ngiyayiquestiona kakhulu they've got better players compared to Kaizer Chiefs in terms of comfortability movement of the ball i-Pirates more but the-Pirates ayikho balance they score and then babakora i-team yabe i-attacker one way ngeke
so i-problem ikuphi kwi-Pirates kwi-defense
Pirates ma-sensitive position bane-problem stala goalkeeping department and then secondly sensitive bashintsha amaphuzu Happy Gel is a right back ula is a bit slower experience knowledgeable but it's a bit slower sometimes udlala ngunyawuza sometimes bachintsha kaningi la sensitive position and you can't change ugoalkeeper bana Wayne unida more ukuthi bamphumuze ngwenya you need a young blood that you
njengoba kuphela isizini uSandile nizobephethe le nto kuthiwa man of the match bemxhawula kuthiwa well played awumbono wena
uyalikhumbula le goal kaHlombo it tells you ngenye indlela le yanto le mawuzoshaya uhlompa kude kanje i-question mark
hayi into yakudala manje le uhlompa utalented angakushaya nawe ungqubuze ipala uliqabula
experience goalkeeper like Wayne is disappointing maning le handling yakhe kumele ayilungise futhi sibheka into eyiningi technique handling linga ulidropele la mina bengifuna umfana omncane njengokuthela ngobe I would love to see him okanye ba-break i-account baye ku-Ronald Williams ku-Pirates United abona bangalungisa i-goalkeeping department nale position de basani uTyson mara ngikhuluma ngomuntu okwazi ukudila nge-1 on 1 ngoba ama-fullback wabahamba kube yi-3 against 4 against 2 abantu abayibona that thing kuba ngathi manje lezi exposeka ngoba vele sometimes badlalisa abantu abaslow ngoba bayenza ama-tackle nasendaweni e-wrong forgetting ukuthi abakwazi ukudila ama-crosses mawadlala
so uthola abahambe beyonqonqoza beyodonsa uRonwen Williams once
I love
yeah Ronwen Williams
nale ubuhle mkhwenazi mina bengithanda Grootman
so if let's sponsor ke sesongena so sponsorisha i-league ucabanga ukuthi sazoba khona wena le team ledlalela uRonwen Williams we should bangakwazi ukuqhubeka nalo lelo qembu mangabe sponsor sesannounce
bangakwazi Grootman
hayi bawazi kanjani
they can do it
usho nje
yeah they can do it
okay
they can
okay
they can kumele bayenze ngawonke ama-means they can
Dion Hoto uthe usharp guy
yeah but sometimes njengoba ngisho manje njengoba bamlasayinile it's a good signing mara abake bayenze similar like Sundowns bafika bukela indlela yokudlala is a good player
right
I understand ukuthi uPirates you don't just go with speed sometimes badlala abo Makaringi abo Ben he need to sometimes come inside ngoba njengoba ngisho banokudlala ngama fullback ama-winger wabo yeah
khuluma nge-Sundowns ke Mthobi bamfakileke bathi mfana omdala ngena mvala kwathiwa Peter Shalulile siyakudonsa wozongena phakathi
Mthobi Mvala I don't understand his position I think uSundowns udlala i-center back I believe
right
comfortability Hlompo Tshali kunenqwaba lapha kule abahleli ngaphandle ngikhuluma ngomfana wini staff obona Mabunda there's Mhuma kakahambi Pangalisa Mawuli sometimes he plays there
sure
Mkhulisi plays there Hlompo Njali no Rivalo could say about 7-8 so umvala le he played i-team yakhe lebeka kuyi structure buya kuso bengiquestiona kakuningi ukuthi which position is he playing because mele abe comfortable ku Sundowns uzodlala uzovela so center back mhlamba amsanele yona uyangathi Shaluli
wena umbona ukuthi angaba mnandi kuphi mangabe sesicabanga kahleke and ubuyicabanga ukuthi kwi Sundowns bawazi ukwashift aba players ukuthi bawasuse kuma position abo abawajwayele njengoba benza ku Rivaldo Coetzee wonke umuntu ombona ku Rivaldo ukuthi yes yabo bamshintshile but umnandi kule position akuyona manje don't you think ukuthi bangakwenza ke
maningi ama player talented Grootman but they can't be under instructions mawunga check ulali lakhe he was a winger he came there bamhlalisa left back Mrena was a winger he came there play right wing back as a striker as well Nokhama mawungamcheka bekadlala as i-winger bamenza number 10 ushithi force number 9 balimit speed
right
so lapha yana njengoba ngisho njengoba umsayinile umjita ulo I believe he's going to play center back mina umvala Shalulile very energetic ingwenya but nayo Melias lapha kudlala ngo number 9 he must know this force number 9 ukubadlala nge 4-2-3-1 okanye 4-3-3 So melas lapha udlala under instruction, you don't just run all over. Yung itabachita baba signing le pating pinding question Mr. Msiman benga pela nguta ngai sign le signing. You understand? Mina bengibheke irresponse ukuthi will bring. Give but when
sebambonile airport asazi. Kemet. Call us.
Yeah,
we're waiting.
If Kemet I'm signing le khulman. Okanye kunento bathi ngenzeka. I khulman that's a good signing le. Sikhuluma ngebalance qala.
Sure.
Balance kick with both feet. That's a professional male appearance. Secondly, very skillful. Yeah. It's rare to get the strikers shot. It reminds me of Romario as Brazil. Or what to off the ball. We've struggled in South Africa. Some can like Polal corners pega con. He was off the ball and he can score with both feet. Any angle. Not selfish. He can move. Sometimes he was create a score for an opponent. At sometimes it's foot is over west because. Guzoba mnandi ba short ngomuntu so assisted ingwenya le userino man nomshishi because beba busy sometimes kube yonke mahlombe ahlale phezulu kwamshishi no serino
sibambe basishake before shay substitution mfanamdala ngoba ngiyazi ukuthi as a kleinman fanele uyomamba umbila kancane mfethu sikubambela usadla means meet yakho Swallows njobe sibuyile ke sidlala kwi Premiership next season nabo basayinile hey bebebukisa ke inyoni sikhipha inyoni ezintsha ke manje sikhipha inyoni ezintsha Musa Nyatama Rusay Khamaldien bamfakile naye umoketsi umakhanye naye bamdonsele lapha kwi JTR in fact ube second top goal scorer lapha we led Africa Championship
very good signing.
Give me your reaction.
In terms of experience Rutman benze there's more ekumele ba-8 obviously with those kids ngibabonile bane-energy bamnandi labafana ngibabukelile there was once before manje bapronyota kusela amagame ayi-3 ngibabukelile training icoach yabo umuntu engiclose naye ngokumazi you understand iphilosophy yale coach very good I wish they can keep him usayine utholile that team ku-number 12 he brought ispark kulabafana I was happy futhi for lebuhamuko yena a brother of mine very talented unfortunately nangama-injury talented and nge-knowledge kalebo I'm sure they will have Novuyo my brothers as well and njengoba ngisho ngithi their team be balance. When-FT bekhona ama-experienced players and youngsters. Talented youngsters ngibonile. Bengamelanga vele bashintshe kakhulu and the coach I'm happy with my kid because they're knowledgeable. The way they are playing ibhola balimova ngakhona. That's how the team should play. Manje into bayenzela abantu ababasayinile I'm very happy qala. Ezosho this guy umyeketsa watch him. Very talented that guy. Ukuthi kwesinye isikhathi la kungabi nayo but nasi isikhathi. Yeah. Yangana ungena ne-team kamnandi. Bamboni imnandi kakhulu ngibonile le ngwenye imnandi kakhulu another signing engibonile Musa experience but Musa nyamqela like I'm begging is from Davidton
sure.
A location akakadlala according to his full potential according to me because sometimes Rutman njengoba ngisho mabazokushifta from ngenze example Musa bekadlala second striker kuPlumfontein Pirates ubuya zodlala eze anchor equation akakhulu so now Musa I believe umjita has been yabo ku Celtics udlalile kula ngimbone khona kuma respect I know him ipotential yakhe kasi so bengisamtshela na one on one I would love to see more from him because definitely experience about bringing the way we play kumele avele because it's coming from Sundowns and Pirate big team it's been there you understand and I know ukuthi akadlala continuous full potential nangale ngwenya le uKhamaldini ukhuluma ngale buya kuchipa ngithi aliyangwenya leya
back to goals and finals
aliyangwenya izoba korela leya you needed somebody like that because le ntwana bazozihama lapha ngoba lapha bakumaka ngokukhuluma kuphela it's PSL so you need ngokukhuluma nje kuphela
faster kleinman shaya ke handbrake lapho mfana we're going to change things slightly and bring in Putco Mafani because like we said Junior Khanye is here send those questions through I can see there's lots of social media interactivity that is currently going on keep that going subscribe on the channel let's grow let's talk because nobody holds a gun to your head here you know it is free conversation and there is no censorship whatsoever so the platform where you're going to be every single Monday is right here on Marawa Moments on Marawa TV. You know what I don't know Putco said something in our previous conversation that we had during lockdown about passion and not being able to remove passion if you are serious about life. In fact, you know, let me not even mess that story up. Let's refresh your mind.
I was a Kaizer Chiefs fan even when I was at school. So for me, it was a natural progression. It was not anything difficult. I mean, the pre-Naturena years of my life, the post-Naturena years of my life have been made easy by the fact that I've always been a club fan. I grew up admiring teenage Dladla, admiring Asen Tweleng, you know, and Abo Sylvester Kole. These are the guys I used to admire and watch while I was still at school. So for me, really, it's been a natural progression, a very nice journey, you know. So there's no hustle about it. And that's why, for me, there's no ending of the contract when it comes to the passion. You may end the contract, but you cannot end the passion, you know.
Yeah, the man with too much passion. In fact, so much passion, he decided to do what a lot of people don't do, and that is to document their lives in a book. Because historically, we'll always be able to reference this, whether or not reading is something you love or not. This is a book you're going to take, you're going to enjoy. And, you know, the thing about talking about a book is that we don't tell the story. So we tease around some of the topics that Putco Mafani has put down as, I don't know, I can call this, what, a biography, autobiography, because he's writing as himself. Hey, bang up, chap. Good evening, Mr. Mafani.
Gabi Peshapia.
How are you, Gabi?
I'm good, chap. Wonderful. Thanks for hosting me.
Thanks for this. Thanks for enlightening us. Thanks for allowing us to go back to something we don't do a lot, which is to read. When you first had this idea that you wanted to document your life and put it in a book, when was that?
Well, it's about 5 years ago. Yeah, about 5 years ago, and I thought, and it's not even about enlightening you; it's about challenging you.
Yeah.
Because the price and prize of greatness is actually a challenge for everybody to find some greatness in them to inspire others.
Right.
One of the problems that we have in South Africa is people that are demotivated, people that are discouraged. We have a lot of negative around us. Look now, for about 5 months, we've just come out of COVID-19, if we have come out.
Lockdown.
So there's a great deal of discouragement and whatever, and somebody needs to pick it up, to inspire. And I do want to say, not only to you, I mean, you inspiring millions of people, you know, but there are people that are watching, and they ought to know also that there's one person you can inspire. And I chose to do that with the price and prize of greatness.
And the title itself is challenging. The title itself is telling. And the decision to go with it, because these are words that as kids, when you're starting to learn this language, because it's not our first language, you would literally delete, or back then, tipex, yeah, kumbul tipex, when you were supposed to say prize and then you say price, when you're supposed to say price and you say prize.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind in the choice of these two very powerful words that are put into one?
The price, let me start with the first part, the price. The price of greatness, so when you walk into a shop and you say, I like this jacket, what's the price? You know, and paying a price, sometimes it's not in monetary terms. Sometimes, and I've heard people say, through sweat of tears and blood, I've paid a price for this. Nelson Mandela paid a price with his entire life. So today we might have freedom, and many others who were with him. The price of greatness are things you're prepared to go through. Sometimes you sacrifice nice time, sometimes you sacrifice convenience, and sometimes you feel it in some kind of a vulnerability, and those factors that are beyond your control, where you find yourself in. And ngaleso sikhathi lento ye greatness iyathukuza apha ngaphakathi kuwe. You can see your dream and you can see, nah man, this is where I want to go in life. But there are obstacles, and sometimes there are even, can I say, sicknesses. Sometimes there are weaknesses and mistakes, and that's the price you pay. I mean, for instance, in the book, in the early chapters, you will discover that the author speaks about a time when he was at boarding school. And being at boarding school, he suffered a medical condition that made him to bed wet every night. Hey, chap.
Hey,
Dikhe ndachama man esikolweni. Boarding school at dormitory.
uvuka sekune-swimming pool lapha chap. Usushaya backstroke.
Ngamanye amaxesha chap. Uphuphe ngathi uselonini nje.
Uyadedela nje.
Uyadedela nje. Hey kanti sobonakele ngapha. And this thing potentially it could have eroded my self-esteem.
Yeah.
Particularly when you wake up in the morning and amajita are preparing to go to assembly, and when are you looking for that moment for to keep him at rest? It's embarrassing. It's degrading. And during the course of the day, you're thinking, lingani Zulu. Ngoba my life is outside there, my bed is outside.
Drying up, waiting for another night.
Drying up for waiting for another night. And it happened for a good 5 years. This is a Bethel College boarding school. Now, this is where life, and I see the grace in this. This is how life balanced itself. On one hand, you're paying this price for your greatness, and on the other hand, you are the school's bell ringer, the timekeeper. And you're running the entire schedule of the boarding school from 5 in the morning. When they wake up at 5:30, it means you were up at 4. And you took your early shower and you took your mattress out. And then you run the entire schedule. You're changing the periods of the school, so which means you're running ahead. So ama early mornings aqala ngelo xesha way before umuntu azokwenza i-breakfast show on radio.
Yes.
So somebody was being trained for that in the process.
But how important was that? Because I think that's a crucial factor of how much did you want to open up? You could have left that detail out and thinking it is not important in telling your story. So somehow, letting us in confidence, Uti, go with me in this journey. But a little flower in your boarding school, a show, on a show. When you wet your bed, what they did is they took away that mattress and you had to make your own grass mattress. And then with grass mattress, which was the most uncomfortable thing, obviously, if you had to get into that.
That mattress also was a cross you had to bear.
100%.
It was.
And when you stop,
it was a monument of the soul you had to take with you on a daily basis. And this kind of defects, that detail, as you were saying, is deliberately captured in the book, because tonight, as we're talking, there's a young man, there's a young woman out there who has a defect. There's probably a young woman with the issue of blood.
Right.
Hey. So these defects, we must never allow them to interfere with the greatness that we can see from a distance. I mean, take it slightly backward. This thing of going to school on barefoot, ice ochanini, because you have one pair of shoes and these shoes and the parents say we can't afford another pair. So you go to school on barefoot.
Yeah.
And then after that you go to school. Amanye majita dropped out of school because they couldn't pay the price. The price of greatness. They couldn't. And manje masihlangana nawe elokishini uyayibona le ngwenye le time angiyalazi man. Makathi hey mphutuma uthi hayi man tata ndiyakwazi athi hayi mtshana ungathi tata man ndifunda nawe man. Ingwenya sekuyi-toll gate.
Yeah.
Njalo uma umbona funeka uzame uyabo. So the price and pride and price of greatness at some stage, and I got to say this, and I did prepare my family with this. I prepared my mother, because my mother is a contributor in the book, and she gave me the story of my background. You know, the author is, and there are a lot of people that are watching tonight, the author is someone who grew up not knowing his father. And for many years, emanesiva pelokshine bofolo abantu besiti, hey, kodini, kacharumnyayiza, and he didn't know this man until he was about 35 years. Sakase Jozi, ayenza ama TV shows, sonke sibhizi ngama TV shows, and then bathi him, konenye ngwenye fana nawe East London, man.
Yes.
You must check him out. And I hooked up with the brother Andile Gamnyayiza, and we met. And he says, hey man, even my mother talks about you. I said, where is the old man? He says he's in Mount Elif. He's a retired good teacher, somebody that was flamboyant, somebody that was out of this world. I said, yeah, I want to meet that man.
Because that's the same man that you became, because flamboyance is about Putco Mafani. But that journey, which is so important for you.
The interesting thing, Marawa, is the transfer of genes from a distance. I didn't have time with my father. The only time I saw him was when I went to his funeral. Umpatis Filtane, one of my friends, helped me with the directions to Mount Elif. And I went there, and I saw the old man sleeping in his coffin, still and silent. And he could not talk back to me and say, son, I love you. Whatever dreams that you have, please know that they can come through. And with this, because this is deep in my heart. And with this, I just want to say out there to all men, please find your boy child and make sure that you play a part.
I can tell, it's still emotional.
Make sure you play a part. Make sure you can inspire your young men to carry the legacy. Somehow, there's one thing about me. The Mafani family in Machawin, they did exceedingly great to bring me up. But there's a coincidence here. The features that I found at Khaya with my maternal family are the similar features I heard of that were out there from Itamalami. I find that an amazing coincidence. I'm a double barrel of that kind of genes. But I sometimes think, and I hope I've written this in the book, because when you write a book, you write, and then you go back, your deleter, your editor, and say, nah, man, I didn't do this. You know? And I don't know if I've captured this in the book, but sometimes I have this thing, Yuguti, had I got an opportunity to be grown by my father, maybe I would have halved the mistakes I've made in life. And equally so, the other side of the coin, had I had an opportunity with the old man, particularly when I hear stories about him. I mean, he's a contributor in the book. He tells me amazing stories about that man because he was his teacher and other guys about Dala. And the stories he tells me about the old man, they make me realize probably if I had an opportunity with him, I probably would have doubled the little success also on the prize of greatness. Now we're crossing over to the prize. And the prize involving and including 1999, winter 1999, I was at Kaya FM sports editor and I was doing Xhosa News on TV. And all of a sudden, Kaizer Mutaung is looking for me.
Absolutely.
To replace Louis Chakwane.
And he's asking you to keep it a top secret because, let me backtrack though, because these are the stories, and that is why I asked you about the title of it. I want him, before we get to the Kaizer Mutaung story of how he reached out, how they kept it under wraps for as long as they do, and they captured it beautifully in the book as well, is when you talk about the price factor, and there's a beautiful photo of you standing, and you do admit that you wanted to be wherever there were broadcast vans, outside broadcast vans. So the OB vans, as they call them, were there. And who was there? Was yourself, looking, admiring, hoping, salivating, wanting to be a part of that. Because before you land up in Kaya, the dream starts somewhere. And that was when the dream started for you. In the illustration that was there, how important was that for you to look at your dream in front of you, not knowing that one day a Kaya FM would be saying, Wozo Sebenzel?
Take it backward. When I was 10 years old, the so-called brightest kids on school would be taken on tour. And we were on tour to go to East London, to go to King Williamstown, and all of these things, go to the beach in East London. I saw all of that. My craze was the fact that in the tour itinerary was SABC, a radio band then. And boy, I got there. We got there, and we were taken into the studio. And there we met an old legend, may his soul rest in peace, Utatu Given in Klebi. And he was recording his program. And I was watching him. I dropped my jaws like, I could not believe it. Because 3 years earlier, I was caught having opened the radio set because I wanted to see these people in the radio. So it's important what you're saying. Sometimes, and the young people that are watching tonight, sometimes you got to act your dream. You got to be there for your dream. Don't disappoint your dream. Be there for your dream. Rehearse your dream. Go there. You're dreaming of being a doctor. Find yourself in a surgery. Find yourself in the doctor's consulting rooms. Find yourself with the stethoscope around your neck while you're doing your grade 8. And so I was there. The picture in the book, I must have been about 15, 16 years, school holidays in King Williamstown, and they were doing an outside broadcast. Sometimes, but I stood there. I was in awe of Abasasazi doing this. And I kept telling myself, I can't figure boarding school, the price of greatness. You know boarding school. I mean, you were at boarding school, man. The first year, you know, when they induct you, they used to do horrible things to other boys. But you know what? Mnanda seen that because so they would lock me in the cupboard. Pezul. Yeah. Okay, enough of the news now. Chiefs is playing Orlando Pirates at Orlando Stadium. And
so they were orientating you with your passion, basically. But I mean, Mang figure boarding school, and I remember this guy's name, and I'll never forget his name. Lakim Buyazi. We were eating boiled tomatoes. Boiled. There was nothing. Tomatoes, you will say, boom, tat. First lunch in Klalapans. Everyone would say, I'm not enjoying this thing here. What to know, newcomer, bring the food, yabo. As a shicing is just bamba siega seeing a cohort. So I bring the whole bowl. Yabo, you tell it again. I don't so like killing to take that whole thing at the flame. This is a nan, it's sister. Look at this new one here.
The new one.
New one. Yeah. So I we sell away bowl, one allow sister what you put there like a land on
why was that?
So that's what I'm saying, Guti, as when at the big induction of your passion, and you were able to gain your confidence with everything else, that would have been a beautiful thing to do at the time.
They didn't know that they were sharpening my dream and honing my skills so that by the time I get to radio, in fact, Radio Siskai, the station that blows your blues away, the very first radio station I broadcast with or broadcast for, they actually got me in a third-year student. They would get me on air, go my OBs. But in Atlant, that's my late brother.
Yes.
And then Vuvuzele chap. And I thank those moments when I paid a price for that.
You know what, you're inspiring as you speak, because it is really incredible what is going on as far as the YouTube channel is concerned and all the comments that are going through there. Uzonga Meleketo says that, Enkosi Putiza, I am going to visit my old man's home just to set foot. Only heard about the old man when he passed, but I couldn't make it to the funeral. But I must first read the book. I know you got emotional earlier about just that part. Here's somebody who, from your words to their ear, is going to go and do exactly what you have asked, and that is taking ownership.
He is not the only one.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of thousands of kids out there in South Africa who don't know their father. Worse with the boy child. You see, South Africa has done good, and our government, in terms of looking after the identity of girl child and making sure that girl child is assertive. There were even campaigns about take a school girl to work.
Yeah.
There is less or zero that is done for boy child. And on the other hand, he is the perpetrator of all the evils and social ills. Yena boy child. And we're showing him less love. I was lucky that I was surrounded by the uncles and the so-called in English half-brothers. Gabanda gwe tungesposa nesintu. But English city half-brothers. Asinayo ke lonto thina. Gobhuti bam gabanda gwethu. I was surrounded by a lot of that. I never felt the emptiness, I must say. Otherwise, God would punish me if I did. I think people like Uzongamele Lo and many others, it's important that if you didn't find an opportunity with the time, at least fall in love with the history, get to know his family members, get to know the good stories about him. wow, that did some good. Xa ndibaliselwa ngaye qonde ndiva kamandi ukusho ukuthi elithama mos ndilifuzile kuthiwe nale mpumlo le dolphin noise le dolphin nose yam kuthiwe nayo le no.
The smile.
Yes, the irony, the voice box.
Yeah. In the range, man. Coach up in the range, man. Unkabing, in the range, man. So, I mean, it's those things, because even somebody that I admire immensely for her linguistic nature, her ability as well to command the respect that she has done for so many years, also said some very positive thing about how you've always been a master of your voice, the range, the ability, and nothing has ever been able to stop you. So when you get confirmation from people like that for me was just like an affirmation of note.
The interesting thing about Umams, I call her Umams because when I got to Bethel College, she was a senior. I was doing Form 1, she was doing Form 4. Wow. Lunga Williams had just written his matric in the same school. And so when these guys were commanding SA television, this also said to me, if Lunga Williams, who was at the same boarding school where I was, if Nokolo Rodbom, who was at the same boarding school where I was, are doing it, and the whole of South Africa is eating from the palm of their hands, I think I can make it also to national television. And you know, by God's grace, I overcame all obstacles, and then I received the prizes. Then I started winning awards. Awards in broadcasting, and that's the prize of greatness. Then I started enjoying being decorated and being honored and being recognized for the talents that are hidden in me. And then sooner or later, there were a couple of radio awards, including the one that I hold dearly, being inducted in the SA Radio Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, guys.
Just after Champ Bob Mabena.
Oh.
You know, so that decoration, including many PSL awards, being the PSL Club Official of the Year, and this and that, and awards at Kaizer Chiefs, and awards in the Eastern Cape government, being the ambassador of the Eastern Cape province. And all of those to me were prizes of the greatness that I refused to forsake because of obstacles, because of the challenges that I faced during my childhood.
And those obstacles started way back, because even from a political perspective, you talk about the Opokozo years as well. How? But that's what I say. We
had a nice relationship during his early Lukuzana in government. And then he was famous. Kumane kusithiwa phaya namantombazane ithanda lento Eastern Cape kuthiwe fish ugqozo ufish ugqozo lahla umlenze ufish ugqozo. During those days when we were playing the music on radio, the music of Black Box, Get Down, lahla umlenze ufish ugqozo. And then it happened that Ugqozo turned around. He turned his back on the ANC and the PAC and Azapo and all these liberation movements. And then he formed his own party. And then he issued a decree on his radio. No one should talk about the ANC, no one should talk about the PAC and all of these. And I decided alone, apart from as our march, Sasizenza, you know, as it resulted actually on 7 September, people killed by Ugqozo. I was in that march, Nam. You know, you know, So, and then Kozo turned around. We can't go backward now. You see, then I started doing the material, because I felt South Africa was progressive enough that he didn't have the right to tell us Uguti he's censoring us on air. And that's when he locked me up. And I was locked in some police station in Mdanzane for 2 weeks in solitary confinement. Chap, I'm a political prisoner.
Hey, my turn.
Yeah, Galenba.
So this should be a Putco Mafani day.
Please. Yeah, Galenba ngeka khayinga londo.
60s, I know, can be 67 minutes for you. How wait. 60 minutes for Mafani. Let's go build the broadcast center. For 60 minutes. This man was a political prisoner here. But
that's another price.
I took out of your mouth the important step, which was then the big transition. We appreciated you as a broadcaster, still do. We appreciate you on many different fronts as an entertainer. It's that Kaizer Chiefs wanting you part. In that book, yo, Nkosi yami, you can almost feel the emotion coming through because it's almost like a realization of a dream, but also off-ramping from your dream of being a broadcaster. Now you're being called to Kaizer Chiefs by the Supremo himself.
I could not believe that, Nam. I couldn't believe it. My interview was held at Hamid's house, the financial director. That's where the interview, it never happened in a boardroom with all of these people. No, abantu bo HR, nabo, it was just Captain Chincha and Hamid. And I was not even bothered ngemali. I was crazy with this thing yokuthi Kaizer Chiefs yanifuna. Ukaizer mtaung yangifuna. And that was the most important thing. It was such an honor. And I will eternally be grateful to Captain Chincha for stopping at nothing to make sure that, and not only did he secure my signature, he also protected me. There were Sunday editors on papers which also were notoriously, and we spoke about this Mnanawe many years ago on your radio program on Metro. There were some Sunday paper journalists. Unfortunately, they were notoriously and politically bankrupt because they were perpetuating an agenda, ethnicism, saying, Kaizer has made a mistake hiring a PRO who can't speak Sesotho.
They closterized it.
Exactly. Abandazi, ayofunda Sesotho. Dasivuvuzela mal. Thank you.
Yeah, so all of that is described in the book. And that's an important lesson because as much as that was, like you say, writing an article that really has no substance in it, but you took it upon yourself and said, okay, fine, let me take these bullets, but let me go and learn.
But I like also what the chairman did because he invited them for lunch. And he said, look, I've seen the article that you've written, and I know what I'm doing. So give Putco a chance. I mean, the man has not been here even for 2 weeks and you write an article like this. Give him a chance. Let him fail in his job if he will fail. But I know what I'm doing. And as they say, indeed, the rest is history. And I enjoyed so much support. I got there. We had about 80 branches of supporters. When I left, we had more than 300 branches. Because what I enjoyed most was going around South Africa and beyond, in unentered areas, opening Chiefs branches. I enjoyed that. And persuading, and that detail is in the book, persuading people to go to home games. Home games. Home games. Stadium.
Unbelievable. The biggest question that keeps coming through, whether I'm watching on the Twitter feed or whether I'm watching on the feed on YouTube, we are interactive. Keep those questions piling through, and I know how much you're enjoying this conversation that we're having. As I said, we're just teasing around the book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Got it on Friday from Putco. By the time I was looking for pages that don't exist. The book was gone, done, dusted.
Wow.
That is how great. I'm telling you. I forgot to have breakfast, lunch.
But let me tell you the secret why you could not drop it. You could not drop it because it's written in a language that is so easy to follow. That is, you can hear the voice of the writer. It's very important when you write. I mean, this is my first book, and I'm in chapter 2 of the follow-up. And when you're writing something like this, it's important that people hear your voice. You know, and they can relate.
It's authentic.
And then it's, thank you. And then it's difficult to drop it.
It's authentic. I enjoyed it. But going back, because we are an interactive show, the singular biggest, and but
he has an idea, please.
And rubber stamp it to Mafani. Would you ever go back to Chiefs?
Chiefs is my life. Chiefs runs here. And sometimes I had opportunities being called up. Platinum Stars. The prize of greatness also has to do with you being called, you being offered. Platinum Stars sometimes sometimes host
Image.
The mind is here, the heart is. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever been to a situation when the mind is on this side of the field and the heart is on the other side of the field? You know?
You have to dig deep.
Absolutely. And so, to answer the question, anytime.
The biggest quote would be,
you know why I say
Mr.
this?
Mafani, when you go back to Chiefs, anytime.
You know why I'm saying this? You know why I'm saying this? The chairman has done very well getting Gavin Hunt, and I hear this afternoon getting Delon Shepherd, and getting Arthur 10-111, my right wing. And I think part of the investment that the chairperson would need to do is to make sure there's a winning atmosphere, that there's a winning mentality. We asked Marawa, I don't know if you've forgotten. Besukushaya manje and ndikuxelela mina ku press conference ukuthi ngizokubulala 2-0.
Umtshele no Alex Chakwan.
Yeah. No Alex.
No Alex
Alex, listen when Alex. And I remember calling this press conference, we were going to play Sundowns at their home, it was their home game.
Yeah.
And I said, a press conference that was packed. I said, I want every Chiefs supporter to bring a loaf of bread. Because after I score the first goal, right now, Uchabu unyamalele. But I've got another surprise. Junior Khanye that date.
Junior. Okay, let's warm Junior up because I need him to come back. On that note, don't go anywhere because Junior Khanye is going to be stepping right back here. I want a family reunion of these two. Because bayazana, bayathandana, man, there was plenty of love that was shown off camera as well. We want to highlight that on camera. But in our previous interview with you during lockdown, this is where you see the fun side and the lovable side of this lovable chap who's now an author.
Bonaparte pushbox in Babala from Tata Independence Stadium. Lala de Marawa Swallows. Yeah, if you Marawa Swallows, you're going to be Zwanjani. The Marawa Swallows. Jungle Mfana jersey number 9, Park with pushbox. Monge Hula. Yamazi Mambiza Nestam number 1, Mongilona. Tantu Tata Kena, Ungabi, Unemochari. Icona, and the mistake on a butchery.
My goodness, Putco Mafani, you gotta love this man. That's with social distancing, so I don't want high fives, I don't want any of those funny things here because the president is still keeping us on the lockdown level 1. But Junior Khanye is back, holding the midfield. Mafani is there on the wing.
Chap, sorry.
No,
Chap, I want to apologize to the president. I'm better social distance. Social distance, please. No, Lalela. Tell Marawa what I told you, Sisia with Sundowns, Emabupani. Natchala longati la, swina ngawe boy.
Oi beg in that.
Yeah, inhloko bemhlophe Grootman by the.
Hey, blondie.
Yeah, blonde.
Manje ngifika kushuthi manje mina bengeke camping. I remember bangibambe kuseni uGrootman ngihlangana nalo lithi yazini mfana ngine press conference enechureni atshela ama fans ukuthi yazini ngiyaxolisa ujaba kekho mara namhlanje siyodlisingwa so ama fans bewabaseleke kakhulu iGrootman ngithe mangene
no bengibasela
wathi mfana ngithi kunjani bengiphethe iphuthe elimhlophe angithi manje inhloko emhlophe nephuthe elimhlophe yathi ipoepeka la namhlanje it's make it or break it mara ngiyakuthemba ngithi bengibone training Grootman nakuthi development ke beyizi assess Grootman ithe mangifika ngizongena somapha ngithi ngothube somapha aqala bese yabuya korathuni qoke angitshelele inye igama yakubeka la wena unili motivation manje mele ungamameli kuwe it's up to you mara mina ngiyakuthemba lento le ushafula ibra yakho I love ukuthi ngibone nithi uniyenza lento mara wena one amfana ngithi ngine believe khona into ekumele South Africa ibone isa presence makakhulu ezebo angithe mangibheka le video le angithi uyabona amodlala Grootman kune screen ngibone ku Clement first 20 minutes ama view mara after boma 40 minutes bese kuyima bana nami ngilibele ngimjongo njamani Grootman eshayi kwasa la
idola
bekadela bekaphethe show me your number enzima show me your number
bayizinsizwa
please and sithema sikora yazi Robbie yazi kwasa kwase ngishaye kuleya odi ngaze ngabiza ifizio later on uDave Miller ngathi angibambe
and uyayazi le odi ububuka ibhola abhluko obubhekele eground la So already in time is ibhlungu but nang into zosijika.
No, Rodman, it's actually Rodman Belfagis Park. Tina Besigula before. This is the reality.
Ethanol
because of Chela and Joba being Chela, let's say Lanele parts, Bespachel with Ninan Funux like Toalichis. Angenzo Sila, Lanyakoli, Sanama Fens Namsanj, Zolbamba, Mamelitina Maskin, and Genan Kala. And
then Laba Mabe Pumetanelin, Petty microphone. Besuma. Somlandela, besuma, somlandela, ewashia, ama defender, besuma. 60,000 yabantu. Even nala amavukuvuku esowatla ayacula na.
Abazothi besuma uzobashaya.
Please. Yeah.
Motivation, but I mean, Benizwe vibe lensizwa nini.
But also, as in Junior, you know why I did this? I found it's important when you join an organization to do research. When I joined Chiefs, I discovered Uti Uluwi Chakwane was sustaining what Ubrai had been doing. The late Iwet, the lip Nene. Ne? Yenage Begashang a white towel. And all these teams would wonder, Uti, ye negule towel.
Yeah.
And then came Sprinter. And from Brai to Sprinter, this Petty Mohammed Ali approach. By round 5, I'm knocking this man out. And then before round 5, Mohammed Ali would knock you out.
Yes.
So better that mental superiority. One goal up, bowling ekaqali. So nami ngibonile kwi culture, mabathi the glamour boys of Pefeni, they did not mean ngokuswenka kuphela namaphem. They also meant intellectually. Oh, Chiefs Village was a place of intellect.
Tell us how. Give us that whole intellect though, because you're bringing the analogy about Muhammad Ali, and I remember Muhammad Ali once said that he saw his opponent shadow boxing and his shadow won. So already you're defeating the person. Because how can your shadow win when you shadow boxing? Kushuthi wena isituphunga, wena bazoginqa phansi, wena bazokushaya keep amazinyo. So give me the intellectual side of Kaizer Chiefs.
When you say that, I actually miss one of my friends in football marketing. In the whole PSL, I had 3 ladies. Bengiyazi ukuthi ngiphethe bona nange Vodacom challenge. Amy Kasalethi unkosikazi kaKhalusha.
Yes.
Her sister Vivian.
Yes.
And the late Zodwa Khoza.
And I mean, Wawumambe from Reebok days, because even in the book you talk about that association with Emmy then. And I remember the newsletter. Yeah, Kaizer Chiefs. I need to work sponsorship.
Yes.
Sponsors right across the page.
14 sponsors.
Yeah. Because of that hard work.
Please.
They played a big role, but also the late Zodwa Khoza.
No,
very soft spot for you.
She hated to love me because bekuthi masodlala neParade, and the time bengiloko attacker ngoShoes, or the time attacker ngoKabamba Musasa no David Khadebe, or the time attacker ngoMbesuma, bese ngithi uswa jwang unkolota. Bese ngithi uswa jwang unkolota. Esilandi phakajuju man. Even after ngixosha umshini phela umshini ususwe yimi.
Hayibo.
Yeah.
Yini inkinga?
No, yazi in chap combination yami no Captain Chincha izokubulala. He would Captain Chincha no Bob Stake would hire coaches. I would fire them.
Him I thought.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, bengitshela mina coaching ithi no mara coach la I can't guarantee your safety. My supporters are mad now. Isiqaba utyiwa iVets ngapha eMpumalanga kaNyamazane Stadium. Yasibulala iVets man. Sisuka besibuya futhi kwi SuperSport United eDurban. In a cup knockout, yasikhipha iSuperSport. Saya kaNyamazane sadliwa iVets 2-1 kwi-league. And then a weekend sidlala neHellenic futhi eRustenburg. Ngafonela icoach. Ngathi, hey coach, listen. The supporters now are mad. I can't guarantee your safety. I can't.
Those words used to be used quite a lot.
Yeah.
But as in what? I mean, if you just have a shot of these books here, I want one of these books, autobiography, Putco Mafani, funa the signature yakho for Junior. So say Sundays.
Ipeni yakho chap ngifuna ukumsayinela live uNkabi.
Oh, ball pen manje.
Yeah, ngifuna
ukumsayinela live.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Ufuna ukumsayinela live.
Ufuna uyisayina live emoyeni?
Please,
Awu.
ufuna ukuyisayina emoyeni.
Awusizikhuthuza la.
Ningasabi madoda ukungena la
Yeah?
for repent, please.
Yeah.
Ufuna ukumsayinela no. Yeah.
Okay. Konje abantu abasawaphatha ama-ball pen these
Yeah,
days.
nice.
So is techno. This is the weirdest thing, but Junior, the reason why ngenza sure ukuthi ayithole incwadi mfana omdala, now you know how much you respect this man. And just yeah. And as much as you see what is cooking here. Oh, as amaningi here foot. So ngibambele ngakuphi le so that ubonakala ukuthi kwenzakalani. Asishaya ke mfana omdala.
Hayi le eka Junior le.
Yeah. All right, no problem with that one. Junior Khanye, this is we're doing a signing session here. We're still going to have an official launch electricity. So we're gonna make sure that everything is cool. Ungakhuluma now Junior ngoba ngathi le mic usuyishaya ngenqindi wayifahlaza. So ngeke sakwazi ukuzwa. But a really deep book, and one, as it says, that is opened so many hearts. I mean, you go through so many different, the rural side of it, the coming to Johannesburg part, the linking as well with Kaizer Chiefs, the broadcasting side. I mean, this is a man who talks about his personal life, ezokshata nani, and we ask, but so we're not here tabloidism, but he puts his life and he puts it right there. Otsibona. Phela ngifuna ukwenza sure ukuthi akagruphi lo baba lo. Huh?
No, ready for ukusayinela wena.
Amen. But mina bengifuna ukwenza sure ukuthi uJunior
Yeah.
uyena oyitholayo oqala. Yabo, bengifuna ukwenza sure ukuthi uyena oyitholayo oqala. Nazo ke to Junior Khanye, there is greatness in everyone, and that includes you in capital letters. Oh, my dot. 21st of the 9th, 2020. Nazo humble phone. Yeah.
Angazi ukuthi bekungenzeka kanjani leya team njengoba sithi kuyele kuhlama eGrootman bake balidonse buyise iqala ikhani njengoba basho
culture
muzwile babuyisela iculture leGrootman bakwazi ukudla abantu before bangena egroundini nalentwana zibe highly motivated akusithi lapho kumele bacoach leya icoach ikufana necoordinator you sit there ijezi lela jezi akusijezi nyana kumele likutshele yonke into and then makusekhona.
No, but I would not sit here and take credit for making players play. It's the coaches who do that. But there's a percentage of it that we owe to the players, Tina, in the management, that make the players and the atmosphere and the culture. It's about the culture, that fiber of the culture. And that's what gave them confidence, you know. And I'm so humbled that it happened easily, you know. And it happened also with the supporters. Supporters got to respect my voice, and that's why it was easy on the 11th of April, when the accident happened, that there was one man with a microphone in his hand. And that man, it was important that he is believable to the people he's going to be talking to. I had invested, therefore, in my interaction with supporters, not through WhatsApp, not through Twitter, not through Facebook, but this. It was important that these people would believe my voice. When I say sit down, everybody, put the vuvuzela down, quiet everybody, sit down.
We needed leadership there. And I'm stopping Putco there because firstly we're out of time, but secondly I want you to read this book because it captures that. I mean, the Ellis Park disaster is something that's still heavily entrenched in everybody's hearts, the families as well that lost their loved ones as well. We owe it to him. We were there. We saw the body count that was happening behind the goalposts, and till today it's a sad account of life. Ngizobe ngipusha exam ke no Junior next week ngizombuza nge-chapter 4, the chapter 6 no chapter 9 ukuthi kubhalwe ngani le ncwadi kaPutco. So shaya exam live on TV. Yeah, so uJunior naye unayo incwadi yakhe wangilethela kwi previous life yami. Sizo revisit mhlambe, but I'm sure maseyifundile kaMphuthumi uzophuthuma ke naye shaya volume 2.
Please.
Putco Mafani, thank you so much, Baba, for gracing our studios, for coming through. Congratulations. We look forward to the official book launch for people to dig deep and tuck in. Junior, uyayibamba mfana omdala.
Yeah, no, hayi sisonke Grootman.
Sisonke Mfana Mdala, as always. So for next week. And to everybody, go buy the book. It means the world to everybody. And njobe sangibhalela uMafana, hey, awuthi ngiyofunda icover yakhona. Until next week, kunjani?